In this video, I want to take a look at the second game that I played against the chess hustler in New York City. And if you want to watch the recording of the game, you can go to the description. I'll post a link. So I had the white pieces, and we have an Owens defense. Now, because of my previous experience playing him, I knew that we were gonna get a very strange opening, so I didn't even bother to try to remember the theory. After e6, f4 is a novelty, so probably not a good move, but well, bishop e4, d3, and he immediately captured, which I think is kind of strange. I mean, he is messing up my pawn structure, but I do get this half-open file for my rook. And now knight c6, which again strange, not shadowing the bishop. Here I play bishop a3. An interesting idea would have been to play queen g4. Now that there's no dark squared bishop, if you go king f8, then after knight f3, you want to develop your other pieces. So if you ever want to develop this knight, if you play knight f6 right now, then e5 is annoying, so you probably have to play d6 first. And well, bishop a3 basically says I want to control this diagonal and prevent you from castling. So my opponent went d6, and here's just a bad move, h6. I mean, the only logical reason to play this move is that you want to play g5 at some point, but if your king's still in the center, that's kind of dangerous. So if you're shadowing the bishop, and maybe queen d7 probably would be better, and only after I have played bishop e2 and castled kingside, then you'll want to play for g5. d4, just getting more space. Again, this pawn is reinforcing the d4 pawn, so I like my position. Now a5, another bad move, but if you saw the first game, then this is how he plays. Pinning the knight, and now bishop d7. Here I blunder with e5. I should have castled. After e5, my opponent has a nice tactic, which is not that difficult to see. Knight takes e5, and I'm gonna lose a pawn. In the third game, I actually played a similar tactic with colors reversed right out of the opening. But here, it's actually a little bit more complicated than that. The engine line goes knight takes, and now the knight sacrifice, which is not really a sacrifice because you get the bishop back. And if you look at the position, my pieces are better. I'm getting ready to castle. The black king is kind of exposed. The computer can defend, so it says the position is equal, and if I can count, the material is also the same. But I think I would rather have white in this position just because you have more space. And I think the bishop is just gonna be better than the knight if the position opens up, which it might. Instead, my opponent played d5, trying to close down the position, but At the same time, he's opening up this diagonal for my other bishop. So I castled, knight g7. Now, it looks like, at first glance, that the same tactic still works, but here it's actually different. Here white is completely winning, and it's not so obvious. So after knight takes, bishop takes, you don't take on f7, you go f5, and you sacrifice the exchange. And if you take the rook, taking on e6 is just pretty much game over. If you take, you just get mated. And that's it. So here I played c4 because, well, like in the previous game, if my opponent is not going to castle, then I'm just going to open up the position and have a huge attack. And this is a very strange move and a very bad move on developing, like in the previous game. Although the move does have some logic. He doesn't want my bishop on this diagonal. But because the pawn is supported by the pawn on e6 is supported by the pawn on f7, there's really nothing to worry about. My bishop is better placed on this diagonal, and the time that you're taking, first you played bishop d7, then go back, bishop a6, and then if you trade, you're losing so much time to trade the pieces that it's really not going to make that much of a difference. So queen d3, which stops bishop a6, because now I control that square due to the battery between the queen and the bishop. So without that explanation, this move would not make a lot of sense. Knight a6, again, the point is that he wants to control the a6 square so that he can trade off the light squared bishop. And I just continued my development, and well, here I played the best move in the position, d5, and he was very happy to trade the bishops. And here he took, and well, this is not the best move, but I think it's, from a practical point of view, I think it's pretty good. Here he took, the point is, well, if you take my queen, I check, you take the bishop, and well, I'm just up a rook, and this is just completely winning. So after he takes, I take, and I'm attacking the rook, and well, my queen is very well centralized. It can't be attacked really except with c6, which is what my opponent played. And it's interesting to note that because he wanted to trade the light squared bishop, he went back with the knight, and now this knight is just going to be here forever until the end of the game. In fact, you could make the argument that it is because of this move, knight going back to b8, that he lost the game. A better choice would have been queen c5, check, and if you take, yes, there's an advantage for white, but material is equal and there's not that many pieces left. My pawn structure is better. Now, assuming my opponent doesn't blunder anything tactically, is this winnable? Probably, but you're gonna have to have some pretty good technique, and well, in a 5-minute game, good luck with that. So queen d6, and well, you can see that all my pieces are better. My knight is better. This knight is terrible. This rook is better than any rook, let's say this one, and this rook is obviously better than this rook. Here my opponent castled, which I thought was kind of strange and amusing, because now that he finally well, I wouldn't say impossible, but it's very unlikely that he's gonna get checkmated. Now he decides to castle, and we're getting close to an endgame, so in the endgame you want to activate the king. Here, went knight d4, hitting the pawn, but also I want to put the knight on f5. The knight's going to be very strong there. Rook c8, defending the pawn, knight f5. Now I have this threat of winning the rook, and the knight can't really be chased away, because if you go g6, then I just take here with check. And here my opponent played rook c7. Much better is rook a7. Now my opponent's position was pretty bad already, but this, you could make the argument, is the losing move, because like I said, the knight on b8 is not well, it's just terrible. Let's just say it like it is. So rook c7 allows this check, and well, now I'm controlling the file. The knight can't move because of the pin, and well, here I just went g4. I was getting pretty low on time, so here I missed the mate. I played h3 just to get some time on the clock, but rook h8 is force mate in 3 moves. So if you go f6, you just push the pawn so that you can control f7, and then it's going to be mate next move. Although I did find the mate in a few moves. King goes back. Maybe he saw the mate. Rook of 8. Now the rook goes to a7 to defend the other rook, but now I just put more pressure on the knight, and he's gonna lose material. So even if you don't see the mate, you're gonna win at least a knight. Knight e6, and here, like I said, if you don't see the mate, you can still take, and this is obviously completely winning, but that's a check, and that's a mate. So yeah, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will probably post the next video sometime next week, so the last game. Anyway, thanks for watching.